What's up, people? Welcome to the Elevated Audio Podcast, where we talk about underground hip hop and everything under the sun. I go by the name of Trini Elevate, and this is my co-host,
Chris Audio. That's me.
Yep. So hope everybody's doing well out there. So we're just gonna jump right into it. So, Audio, tell us a little bit about your personal music background.
I mean, I guess it's fitting, right? Because I mean, this is the first episode. We've recorded and
Yeah, first
and
official.
a little bit. This is the first official episode, So I guess kind of give people like an idea of like who the hell we are, So yeah, like you said, or actually, like I said, my name's Chris Audio. I've been a music producer and audio engineer for about 15 years now. But I'm from Miami. Kind of been back and forth between Miami and Orlando for a while. And like I said, 15 years doing that. But I've also in the last like 6 years started getting into, booking shows, on the talent buying side and as a promoter. And then, I've done a little bit of management, DJing, graphic design, web design, kind of jack of all trades, So that's kind of
everything.
But the real foundation is, the beats and the engineering,
Yeah. Cool.
What about you? So,
I'm basically the same, man. So I guess to do like in a more chronological way, like my first introduction to actually like music was back in elementary school. I was a band geek. I played the flute. I played the violin, and I had a lot of issues at home, man. So it was like that was kind of like my escape, being in the band and like playing the flute, playing the violin, and all that. And as I got older, I thought that was corny, so like I quit and started hanging out with the cool kids, right? Like most of us do, start getting in trouble hanging out with the cool kids. And that's when like I guess you could say entered the other side of music or creating of art. I started just freestyling with the homies. Like we would get high, we'd smoke blunts and all that, and just freestyle. So that's where like the hip hop, that part came in. So first it started with the the instruments and all that. Then the hip hop part came in. So I guess that kind of explains why I'm an artist, an MC, a producer, an engineer, an entrepreneur. Like it just got instilled in me early. And then eventually freestyling turned into writing songs eventually. Right. And here we are so far later down the line, and like I'm still doing those things. Now I'm we're throwing shows.
Right.
Make sure I'll come to the Ozone Hip Hop Fest. It's still gonna go down.
Shameless plug.
Still gonna go down, son. Ozone Hip Hop Fest.
That's the plan, man. I was talking to another colleague of ours just before we got on this call.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And he was like, we just got to make that happen. I know everything's kind of crazy right now, and we'll talk about some of that. But
yeah.
But I think it's something to look forward to, But you're not alone, man. I was a band geek also. I played clarinet in middle school, and I played trumpet all through high school.
No way.
Yeah, man. I call your flute and violin playing, and I raise you a 1 year of marching band. True band geek right here.
I think that's why we get along. We've had like
maybe
foundation,
more
man.
background,
Yeah. You definitely one upped me there. I wasn't.
I wasn't trying to.
I wasn't in a marching band, so
yeah, yeah. It's one of those things, you don't divulge to everyone, but I wasn't even thinking that far back, when you started talking about the instruments, like, oh, I did kind of play instruments too,
Yeah.
That's like another part of my life that I don't even like.
You kind of locked that away. You kind of locked that part away.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotta embrace it. Gotta embrace
it.
Embrace it.
What it is, man.
Yeah.
But so let me ask you a question. So when you started, making music? Like around the time that, okay, like you just said, like your timeline of like, okay, you're playing instruments and then you kind of made this shift at a certain point and you started freestyling and everything and started rapping into like where you are now, right? So around that time, like what were you listening to? Like what were your influences at the time that made you say like, wow, I want to do that. Like I want to rap. Like,
yeah. At that time, I was the time frame of actually wanting to write music. I was like in a Jedi Mind Tricks, Benny Paz and all them cats. I'm from Jersey, so I think that'll be an important piece of information to put in there from Jersey. So like, Venny Paz, Poor Righteous Teachers, KRS-One, a lot of the New York hat cats and everything. Definitely like, to go back a little further than that, and if you were a teen, or just if you listen to hip hop in Jersey or up north, or just I think in general, man, like the locks that eventually became D Block, like everybody, like they were the ish that at that time, you know what I mean? So they definitely had a huge impact on my artistry and influence. But to even go a little further back from that time, like Bob Marley, reggae, and I'm Trinidadian, so like, there's a genre of music in Trinidad called soca, which is like, exclusive to Trinidad. So like, it's soca, reggae, hip hop, and all these different things, even a little rock in there. Like that whole culmination kind of, fueled my artistry and like my creative mind and everything. But I would say the strongest influences came from like reggae, Bob Marley, and because I remember when I first really started taking being an artist serious and wanted to make songs and make music, I was like, yo, I want to be like a lyrical Bob Marley. I want to like have he's an icon. He's gonna go down in history as like, an icon, not even just an artist, dude. Just like, you're from my era. Like Bob Marley is a legend, and it's what he stands for. Peace, knowledge, wisdom, unity, love. Like that's what I wanted to embody. And that definitely is a part of my character and who I am, not just as a man, as an artist too. Bob Marley, and and that just fused together with like the hip hop and underground hip hop and like everything else. Just that whole culmination is just a cool thing. So what about you? What are your who are your influences, and who has inspired you to become the producer and the artist that you are?
So obviously I like all kinds of hip hop. I like so many artists, but at that specific time, right? I was really, this is like early 2000s, right? So I first started making music like when I was in high school, right? I mean, aside from playing instruments, I would mess around on like little, programs on my computer, and like it wasn't really like, I mean, I enjoyed messing around with the programs, but I wasn't really like, what am I trying to do with this? Like I'm just killing time,
FL Studio.
Yeah. It's funny that, well, it's funny that you say FL Studio. That's funny because I was gonna say something about it.
Yeah, because as soon as you said like computer programs, I was like, usually FL Studio, it was free.
It was Acid Pro at the time, Acid Pro. It was like Acid Pro 2.5 or whatever. It was, and I was just messing around with like loops and stuff like that, and I had really no idea of like what I was doing, but I was just messing around with it, whatever, like killing time. I was like 15 years old,
Yeah.
And I remember like I don't know. Sometimes, when you kind of have like little epiphanies, or you have like little moments where they like think about, and you're like, man, this is like my first, like, you just remember where you were with like certain things. I'm not talking about like big historical events. I mean, that's a whole other category. Yeah. But I remember when like Kanye West first came out, right? And I was like into that. I was really into like that early 2000s, like Rockefeller, like that whole wave, I was heavy into Jay-Z at that time, Freeway, Beanie, Kanye.
You wear those big old shirts?
Right, right.
Like
Yeah,
straight out of your keys.
yeah, man. And like just the production was just like amazing. It was
Yeah,
just amazing. And like Kanye, like I knew the name Kanye West, right? Because I would like look a little bit into like into the producers of the songs and stuff like that, but I didn't know that much. But when Kanye West dropped Through the Wire, right? And I remember I was like in the car, I was like sitting in the driver, I was about to get out of the car, and I was like, damn, like this is like I want to do this. Like this is like what I want to do. You
yeah,
know, like this, what I'm listening to right now. That's what I want to do.
yeah.
You know, and so I was like, I don't have that. I bought College Dropout, and this is like Kazaa LimeWire days, right? So I'm like, all right, let me try to find some like more like of this dude's music, right?
Yeah.
That he's produced or just other underground stuff that he has that wasn't really put out like that. And I started like downloading music, and I there's a bridge here, I promise. And so I was heavy into like that whole Rockefeller, into like Kanye West, and then I'm like downloading songs one day, and I see this song by this who I thought was just some guy, Little Brother, featuring Kanye West. So I'm like, fuck is this? Now, it was like Little Brother featuring Kanye West. I See Now. I don't know if you're familiar with that song. Whatever. It's like an underground track or whatever, but it's a little collab between Little Brother and Kanye West, right? Produced by Ninth Wonder. And I was like, I know that name. I know that name. And I knew that name because I was like, wait a second. I think he produced a song for Jay-Z. And sure enough, yeah, he produced Threat on the Black Album. And what I had read, hold on, let me click X here. Stupid pop-up thing. And the whole thing at that time was like, oh, here's this guy who produced for Jay-Z, and he makes all his beats on Fruity Loops. Remember, we didn't call it FL Studio at the time. It was Fruity Loops. And I was like, if you were like an amateur in your bedroom making beats, that's what you used, And I remember like, I was like talking to like a friend of mine who, had like a really nice studio at the time, even at like 18 years old, had like a really nice studio in his house. And he was like, oh, that guy who's using that bullshit Fruit Loops, blah, blah, blah. This guy making that bullshit just made a beat for Jay-Z, and he's set for life, So, the rest is history, So that turned into like my interest in like Little Brother. And that's like, for me personally, that's like one of my favorite artists. It's my favorite artist of all time, my favorite group of all time. But the thing is, and maybe it's the same for you, or maybe it's different because we grew up in different areas, right? For me, it like listening to like Little Brother and like Justice League and all that, you kind of like, you listen to like mainstream music, and Rockefeller obviously was mainstream because Jay-Z's huge. But once you start listening to like underground music and you start digging and digging and digging, you start finding all these other artists. And you're just like, damn, it's like this whole world that I didn't even know about, So I started listening to like Jedi Mind Tricks.
Yeah, and it's like a chain reaction.
Right, it's a chain reaction. You just keep finding artists, because you open up this door and you're like, oh, Little Brother, this underground hip hop art.
It opens up a hallway.
Who else is what other rooms are down this hallway?
When you go that hallway.
Here's the Atmosphere door. Here's the Immortal Technique door. And you just start like, and like now I just like live in this little world, So that's pretty much what it is. So I started listening to like, really like backpacker music, around that time, and I was already, I already liked, I already kind of had the foundation of, already being into like Common, Tribe Called Quest, pretty much the.
For me, it was like it was like opposite. It was like my first introduction to hip hop was like the mainstream cats like Biggie,
right?
People like that. Then after that, it was like Cassidy, which is like real gangster. I mean, yes, it's underground too, but it's more on the gangster level, Right. But like it wasn't until after that I started hanging out with people that listened to the underground, more conscious, hip hop and everything. So.
True. So yeah, that's pretty much both of our, I guess, our starting points and our influences and all that. Obviously we could talk for hours about specific artists and like what we think about different albums from that era. And all that movie.
That's a whole section.
That's a 24-hour podcast.
Yeah, dude.
So any other? I mean, I know there was a couple other things we were going to talk about. So
the coronavirus second wave. Any opinions on that? Any thoughts on it?
Yeah. So I was reading a little bit earlier on what, because we see that on the news, and even before the first wave kind of like chilled out, they had talked about like, oh, there's, we can expect a second wave later in the year or whatever. And I was reading today about, I was doing like a little bit of research on like other pandemics, right? So I go back like 100 years. I'm reading about the Spanish flu and how, obviously it's different, because medicine was different back then. And that, the population of the world was different back then. And it affected a lot more people. But it's, what I was reading was that they really they had a second wave that was really bad back then because of mutation in the virus, right?
Did it transfer like the coronavirus does? Was like the same concept? Like it's in the air, then you get it through the air, you touch something? Like
yeah,
that?
as far as I know, as far as I know, it was something like that.
Okay.
I think it was like air droplets or something. But I don't know that. But the reason why the second wave there was really bad was because the virus mutated, and I don't know if we're already seeing a mutation with this virus, and that would be a factor. I don't know, but I think as the virus is now, as we start getting closer to, first of all, people already having gotten it, right? So those people, in all likelihood, will have the antibodies to fight it, even if they are exposed to it again, right? Plus, we are getting closer to a vaccine from everything that I've read. As to the safety of that vaccine, that's a whole other conversation. I don't know. I mean, I don't know enough about that. I mean, it seems a bit fast for a vaccine to be developed, considering
really fast.
It took like 30 years to come up with a vaccine for the flu.
Yeah.
And it's still not
I don't trust
perfect or anything by any means.
I don't trust it.
I don't know. But from everything we've read and everything I've heard, even if there is a second wave, apparently we're not going to shut down.
Yeah. I believe that's what Trump said.
That's what he was saying, and I know that's economically driven.
Right.
But honestly, I think they rushed the reopen to begin with. I think we could have used another month of being closed. That's probably, I don't know how popular or unpopular of an opinion that is, but I know that
it depends how
my own personal perspective, right? Because I've been fortunate and that I work in a job that I've been my hours haven't changed. My income hasn't changed over this time. So I'm very blessed in that way, and a lot of people haven't been so fortunate, know?
It depends really how it affected you. Like if your main source of income is being a waiter or something and like your restaurant shut down, obviously you'd be like, no way. I'm ready to go to work right now. Like, we should have been back to work before. This is ridiculous,
Right. It's true. But yeah, I mean, what do you think? What do you think in regards to, you have any opinions or thoughts with a potential second wave?
I honestly don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like, to me, it's from the beginning. I feel like, not to say there's no virus. Obviously, there's a virus. There's something killing people. I feel like the numbers never really added up. Like the numbers were inflated and all that. Sure. And but now they're letting people, go out and protest and be in close quarters together, but still there's certain things not open and all that. So it makes me think, like, do they want there to be a second wave? You know what I mean? Like, are they letting us go out there and protest because they know this is what's going to happen? Because if they're really scared of a second wave, like, then why are we back out?
Right.
Right. So, I don't know. Honestly, don't know. I don't know if there'd be a second wave. I know if there is a second wave, like you were just saying before, I don't think things are gonna shut down again, just because like the economic issue and everything, and just how it's affecting everybody on a on a personal and public level. So yeah, that's about it, man.
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't happen. I hope it doesn't, but I don't know.
Yeah, same. Just hoping every day that things just, you know, trend in a positive way, regardless.
Right,
You know?
right. Yeah, you always want to see things get better and
Right.
improve. You don't want to see less people getting affected. And by the looks of it, dude, like, man, every time I'm scrolling through YouTube now or whatever, it's like cases in coronavirus are spiking. 20,000 new cases. Da 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 da. And it's like we all know about the manipulation of the media. How true it is, I'm not saying like it's a complete dud, like the complete lie, like there's no new cases. But I mean, look around you though. Like all my roommates are good. They're all, I have a few roommates. They're all good. I'm good. Like I look outside. Like I haven't contact. My family's good. You know what I mean? Like I'm not saying this. I'm being empathetic, and I know there's people dealing with this. But like everybody, I'm good. Everybody I know's good. Like how bad is this thing really? Is there really a spike? Are they trying to push another agenda? What's going on?
Yeah, I think that I think everyone would agree that with all situations and most topics, there's people in the extremes. I think the extremes here there's people who think that this is all bullshit and like there really is no threat of the virus threat really was nothing to begin with. And if there was, it was, forced on us, by the government, et cetera, et cetera. And then you have other people who are crazy, thinking like, okay, this is the Spanish flu again. And I'm bleeping my entire body every day,
Yeah.
And, but with most things in life, everything's usually the truth is somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody has their what is your truth is your truth,
Right.
And like you were just saying, some people are saying, dude, this is just a flu. This is just another form of the flu, but they're hyping it up to be something completely insane. But other people are like, yo, this is a real deadly, almost like plague from the Bible or something like that. You know what I mean? So it's like, there's always going to be the extremes. There's always going to be different opinions. I can't say that I know for sure exactly what's going on. You know what I mean? I'd be naive to be like, yo, I have all the answers. I know what's going on. But
yeah, I mean, and nobody does, honestly. Nobody has all the answers.
Exactly. Yeah. All these Facebook that are like, yo, I know everything. The government created this because it wasn't really transferred in Wuhan, China at the wet factory with these animals. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't.
Everyone's an investigative journalist,
Right. That's the danger. Like social media is such a blessing. I mean, the internet in general is such a blessing and a curse because like we have the universe at our fingertips, but at the same time, anybody could be a journalist, anybody could be a reporter, anybody could be a master at anything. You know what I mean? Now, so it's like it's nuts.
Yeah. No, that's the pros and cons of the internet as a whole. Like the top of the information is as good as ever, but the bottom of it is as bad as ever, So,
yeah. I mean, without the internet, we couldn't be doing this now.
Right? So I'm not complaining,
Right? Yeah, we're not. We utilize it just as much as anybody. We're, I don't know. I don't know if you're a millennial or not. I'm a millennial, so it's like
technically I'm like the oldest of the millennials. I think I'm like at the top of the.
What? Do you know the age range, the year?
I think 84, 85 is like, I think it's like Generation Z, I want to say. And that's like the first like millennial group.
So after 85 is millennial.
I think 84 or 85, something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Because I was at work one day and I was telling my coworker, I was like, man, these millennials. I was like, saying something, and like he was like, dude, you're a millennial, right? I was like, no, I'm not a millennial. What are you talking about? He was like, when were you born? I was like, 1988. He was like, you're a millennial.
Yeah, I mean, I guess literally we are, but I technically like I don't think of the same as like. I mean, I don't want to shit on other people, but I feel like there's a split there. You know what I mean? I feel like we're like this. We're the last group that knew what the hell life was like before the internet and before his cell phones.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We know about like going outside and playing as kids and not like being attached to like this iPad or like.
Exactly.
I don't know. When did you get a phone? I didn't get a phone until I was like in 8th grade or something like that.
I got it in my junior year when I was 17. Or no, that's my senior year. That's the junior or senior year of high school.
You didn't have a phone until you were in high school?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was born 85. So probably we got them the same year, you know?
Yeah.
You were born 88. I'm 3 years older than you. So,
yeah.
So that was around then. You know, my probably, you know what, when I turned 16 actually, because my parents' whole thing was like, no, you're not going to get a cell phone until you start driving. So like, what, you don't need any, you know, you're not out like taking the car out on your own. You don't really need to call about anything. Yeah, I had a freaking beeper with like the little chain and shit.
Beeper, yo.
We were doing like the fuck.
Phone to call somebody, like somebody beeps you gotta call them.
Yeah, we had the little beeper codes, you know.
Yo, it always confused me how a beeper worked because I was like, how do beeper, like I didn't know how beepers worked. I never, like, I seen them around. I thought like for the longest time I thought like you can communicate to people through them or something like you can talk back through the beeper, but it's just you get a notification, somebody beeps you, paid you, and then you call them. Yeah.
We've come a long way.
We have, yes.
Well, from beepers to talking on a video chat.
All right, you remember AOL? The dial?
Of course.
I feel like somebody needs to make a song.
Wait, what happened? My message isn't going through. Mom, do you pick up the phone? We had two phone lines, one for the actual calls, and then one for the internet. But the thing is, if someone was on the call, then if someone needed to make a phone call, they're just picking up the other line. And I'm like, what the? I was trying to download a song for the last 45 minutes.
Couldn't you take the end of the one that goes in the computer and hook it up to a phone, and then you can use that as a phone, right? Like the phone line that went into the computer, you could like take it out and put it in the phone.
I don't know.
I think you could do that because I remember like my mom would always be on the phone.
You mean like plug in from the computer to the phone, and then the phone's already hooked up to the wall?
No, so like the phone lines. The phone line goes from the wall to the computer, right? That's how you go to the internet. But I'm saying if you wanted to use the phone, you could just like bring your phone over, unplug it from the computer, and then plug it into the phone, and now you could use the phone or whatever.
I guess.
I think that's how it was. Yeah. But anyway, like
mid-90s technology talk.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Hey, look, he's back.
Things have changed a lot, though.
I've always been nerdy.
No. I mean, we all have the same struggle, man. If you grew up around that era, we all have that same struggle. The freaking dial-up.
Yeah. Well, I remember my mom, like, she would be on the phone. And if I wanted to eavesdrop on her, I would pick the other phone up.
Of course.
But like, you have to cover the speaking part, so they don't know you're on the other side. So you're like.
There was one day. Sorry, you just reminded me of this. I was on the phone with my friend or my girlfriend at the time or something, right? Yeah. And one of my brothers was on the phone with his girlfriend, right? And our little brother thought it'd be funny to like pick up the phone and like blurt something out, but he didn't realize my older brother was on the phone, so he picked up the wrong line. He blurted something out, thinking he was on my call, and he said something, and he picks up the line that my brother's talking to his girlfriend. He just blurts something out, and his girlfriend's just like, "What? Like, what are you talking about?"
I wonder what right, that's all you would hear. Yeah. Man, those are some fun times. It's some things about like the past, man, and like not having certain technologies that is just like nostalgic and like fun and like you know, just real. real special, you know, like times like that, like being able to pick up the other, back when people used house phones, because obviously everybody has their
So
cell phone.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's our phone.
yeah, when you actually use phones or whatever, like rotary. Remember the rotary phones?
Rotary phones, of course, of course.
The little. I honestly don't remember calling anybody from the rotary phone. I don't remember. Like,
I do, because I remember our kitchen phone was a rotary phone for the longest time, and then we upgraded and we just got like a wireless phone for the landline.
so anything
That was
else?
a game changer there.
Oh, after you guys upgraded?
Oh yeah, to that wireless,
Yeah.
and people could leave a message without it, just be a voicemail. It wasn't a tape.
Oh, right. Oh, they didn't have the answer machines though back then.
What's that?
The answering machines?
Yeah, so they used to have like the answering machine would have like a little tape, right?
And then take the tape out.
Right. And then it was like a game changer that like your answering machine was just like a recording, like not on a tape, just a recording, And yeah, those are the days.
Yeah, dude, definitely was, man. So anything else you want to talk about?
No, we can just wrap it up here, but I do want to say one little thing in regards to we would kind of be to be ignoring the all the protests and the George Floyd situation. I just want to say one thing, and I tie this to music a little bit because right now you have a lot of people saying, white people really saying, I've been educating myself because of this George Floyd situation. I've been educating myself on the struggle and oppression of Black people, and I think like. Don't you realize that, KRS-One made a song called Sound of the Police? Don't you realize there's a reason why NWA made F the Police? There's a reason why Bone Thugs covered that song, F the Police. Like, have you listened to any of Kendrick Lamar's music? I just don't understand where this I'm educating myself now. Hip hop culture, and that's just hip hop culture, that's just a portion of, a part of the Black community, right? Talking about these issues for a long time. So where have you been?
Right. It takes somebody dying, and it's not the first time either. Like, but it takes a response like that for you to finally be like, oh, let me see what this is about.
Right. But all these white people are listening to this music for years and years and years. You're consuming this music, and what are you doing with it? Are you just listening to the words and you're not actually like absorbing what's being said? So that's really been a little confusing to me, and in a weird way, kind of funny to me, because how clueless can you be? You think that Black people and hip hop artists specifically have just been making this stuff up for a long time? No, this is a reflection of their experience, reflection of their communities. So yeah, keep educating yourself, I guess. But I don't know where you've been.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad it takes this to like for people to actually start
right.
having even piquing their interest in like, there's something really wrong here. Yeah, I mean, and there's been something wrong for so long, and I feel like now we can't let these brothers and these sisters' lives lost go in vain. Like, we have to take that and make the change, and so it doesn't keep happening. It's not gonna happen overnight or whatever, but this is definitely a good start. And like, I don't agree with the riots and the breaking and the looting and things of that nature, but I will say it is having an effect. There's changes being made that I do see. It may not be my thing, may not be your thing to go out there and like, be out there wilding out and breaking stuff. But it has its place, though. It has its place.
If it forces a change, then hey, I'll take it.
Yeah, we just do our part. I do my part in whatever I can do. Like whether it's like make a song about it, hold meetings about it. Try to have strategies. Try to think of strategies or get with people, and we can try to come up with strategies that we can implement and utilize and use. And I think platforms like our podcast here is a perfect way to bring more awareness and on.
There we go. Talk a little bit of music. We talk a little bit of current events.
Yeah.
That's where it's at.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. I guess that's probably where we should wrap it up, huh?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Where can people find you? What are you trying to promote, man?
Yeah, so working on an album now. Just building, just stacking songs, making beats, networking, So I can't tell y'all when the album's gonna drop, but it's coming, So yeah, just be on the lookout. What about you?
What's your before your handle and all that?
Handles, yeah, everything at trinielevate.com. Or just all socials at trinielevate, TRINIELEV8 is in the number. And yeah, you can find me on all socials.
Sure. That's what's up, man. Yeah, same. Just working on some stuff. Some I'm not gonna say specifically. Definitely, hopefully, doing the Ozone Hip Hop Fest in August. That's the goal right now. Hopefully, we'll be making some announcements in regards to that soon. Always working on some music, networking, all that. Definitely going to be announcing some stuff too. Respect the Culture brand that I just started with the Homie Motion Picture. You can find that exclusively. We're only doing through Teespring right now, but we'll, we'll ramp that up soon.
Yeah, that reminds me too. I got these Elevated Vibes only joints you guys could pick up at actually on Teespring as well. So appreciate it. Yeah, it's on Teespring, so you can get there through my Instagram, which is, like I just said, Trini Elevate, and it's in my bio and all that. So
there we go. And I'm at Khris Audio, KHRIS Audio, pretty much any social media platform.
Don't forget the K.
Yeah, K. Come talk.
I did.
It's all good.
First met.
Everyone does. It's all good. Yeah, man. Until next time.
Peace.
Peace.